The turbulence didn't rattle her. The wine did. Lisa swirled her glass of overpriced airplane Cabernet, eyes scanning the in-flight screen as if the keynote presentation slides were hiding in the Sudoku puzzles. 20 years in the industry, clawing her way through boys' club boardrooms and PowerPoint purgatory, and now, finally, her name was on the damn banner. Top billing at the Global Tech Front Conference. Keynote speaker. Berlin. 4,000 in person, tens of thousands streaming. Her voice, her data, her legacy. She should have felt on top of the world, but something in her gut pinched like a splinter behind her ribs. Maybe it was how fast the company had rushed the logistics. "We'll handle the hotel, the booth, the badges," her assistant barked last Tuesday, practically cutting her off mid-email. Maybe it was the eerily quiet group chat from her team. No pre-conference memes, no last-minute panic about booth setup or speech timing. Just digital dust and a thumbs-up emoji from Bradley in HR that felt rehearsed. Or maybe it was the fact that she didn't see Chase, Mr. Visionary VP of Strategy, at the gate. He was supposed to present on day 2, but while she was boarding with an economy upgrade and an overstuffed backpack, the seat next to her sat cold and empty. Assigned to C. Drayton. No one showed. Still, he tried to lean into the joy. She watched the cabin lights dim. She thumbed the edge of her presentation printout like it was a wedding speech. Then she reached for the Wi-Fi. The airline's connection flickered alive like a half-dead firefly. She refreshed her inbox, expecting nothing. Instead, there it was. Subject, effective immediately. Timestamp, 1 hour and 12 minutes after takeoff. Sender, James K. Rowlands, VP of People and Culture Body. Cold. Clinical. Not even a bullet point of gratitude. Just 3 dry paragraphs explaining her position was no longer aligned with the company's forward-looking strategy. And effective immediately, your access credentials have been revoked. She blinked. Her hand hovered, suspended between shock and fury. Then it hit her. The timing. They fired her midair. She was literally in the sky when they cut her loose, intentionally after takeoff so she couldn't scream, call, lawyer up, or even reply. Cowards move. The stem of her wine glass cracked in her grip. And hey, before this story goes full corporate bloodbath, real quick, if you've been listening this far and don't hate my voice yet, maybe tap that subscribe button. 95% of y'all don't, and I'm trying to hit my first 10,000 subscribers without selling my soul to the algorithm gods. Help a storyteller out before the ex-CEO finds this and sues me for emotional damage. Back to Lisa. She spent the next hour spiraling, locked in a pressurized tube with no one to scream at but a terrified steward who offered her a cookie. Her badge was still in her purse. Her face was still on the event posters. Keynote speaker, not former employee, not terminated mid-flight like a bad plot twist in a Netflix drama. What the hell was the end game here? They knew she'd land in Berlin to, what, fade quietly into the mist, skip her own keynote. Melt into shame? Lisa grinned. Oh no, 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 no. If they thought she'd go gentle into that good night, they clearly hadn't read the notes section of her LinkedIn. The subject line glared at her like a middle finger in Times New Roman, effective immediately. Lisa's eyes scanned it twice before her brain caught up, like her neurons didn't want to accept the betrayal just yet. 1 minute she was picturing the standing ovation at the end of her keynote, the polite laughter, the applause, the congratulatory flutes of champagne, and the next, it all shriveled into ash. She clicked the email. 3 paragraphs, no greeting, no thanks. No acknowledgement of her 2 decades building that damn company's reputation one innovation at a time. Just a corporate guillotine. Due to recent organizational realignments, your role has been deemed redundant effective immediately. Her breath caught. Not from shock, from the timestamp. Sent, 1:12 p.m. EST. Her flight took off at 12:07. They waited exactly 1 hour after Wheels Up. No coincidence. No mistake. Someone, most likely James H.R. Botox Rowlands, timed it down to the goddamn minute. They knew she wouldn't be reachable. No signal. No way to fight. No witness to the fallout. Just 36,000 feet of thin oxygen and thin patience. The cowardice made her stomach churn. This wasn't just a firing. It was a surgical ghosting, executed midair like she was an inconvenient app they uninstalled in secret. She stared blankly at the seatback screen. Some animated chef was offering tortellini. The woman next to her was peacefully snoring with a lavender neck pillow shaped like a llama. Meanwhile, Lisa's entire career had just been flushed into the sky at cruising altitude. Her hands trembled, not from sadness, rage. They thought they could erase her with a digital memo and a revoked keycard. No confrontation. No awkward hallway goodbye. Just a "we wish you well in your future" endeavors tossed into her inbox like expired coleslaw. And why? Because Chase Drayton, the VP of strategy with a jawline shaped like a briefcase, had been itching to move her out since the merger. She'd seen the signs, the meetings she was accidentally left out of, the sudden restructuring task force he assembled that somehow never involved her. Fact that he brought in that shiny new junior data visionary fresh out of an Ivy League bootlicker program. They wanted her out, but they didn't want her to make a scene, so they threw her off the company bus mid-flight and prayed she'd just disappear. Lisa blinked away the burn behind her eyes and reached into her laptop bag. Her keynote slides were still there. A full presentation built around a revolutionary case study that had tripled their quarterly conversions. Been planning to end her talk with a surprise reveal about the next-gen prototype she helped incubate, something no competitor had yet. She'd been planning to make them shine. Now she wanted to burn them from the inside out. Her mind raced. Was her hotel room still reserved? Was her badge still valid? Would they try to cancel her keynote? Could they? She looked down at the conference app on her phone. There it was. Day 1, main stage. Lisa Harrington, keynote. Disruption with integrity. Oh, the irony. They hadn't canceled her slot. Not yet. Maybe they thought she wouldn't show. Lisa exhaled slowly. A storm gathered behind her eyes, cold, calculated, and eerily calm. She wasn't out of the game, not yet. They'd left her name on the banners. They left her with the mic. And they forgot what happens when you give the wrong woman a spotlight and a grudge. The wheels hit the tarmac with a thud that felt almost symbolic. Lisa didn't clap like the tourists in row 32. She just stared straight ahead, white-knuckled and silent, letting the engines howl out what her throat couldn't. She exited the plane into gray Berlin drizzle, dragging a carry-on that now felt more like a coffin than luggage. Her inbox had gone quiet. No follow-up, no apology, no call, not even an automated HR survey asking if she'd enjoyed her time at the company. At the arrivals hall, line of drivers held name cards. Her colleagues' names floated like confetti on crisp cardstock. Brent, innovation lead. Nina, product ops. No Lisa, fine. She opened the rideshare app. Still had her corporate card linked. Might as well drain it before they remembered to cut it off. At the hotel, the front desk smiled the way only 5-star clerks do, too polite to scream and too dead inside to care. But her smile faded when she typed Lisa's name. No reservation under this name, she said, accent clipped and clean. Are you with Spectraverse? I was, Lisa said, smiling just wide enough to be terrifying. I was their keynote speaker. Still am, actually. The clerk blinked, tapped again. We have a group block from Spectraverse, but you're not listed. Lisa tapped her badge app. There it was. Her photo, her title, Chief Innovation Officer, Spectraverse. Keynote, Hall A, Thursday, 9 a.m. Hadn't even updated the damn system. They'd yanked her behind the scenes but forgot the public face. Classic corporate hubris. Cut the engine mid-flight and hope momentum does the rest. She booked her own room with her personal MX. Walked up alone. No branded welcome basket. No branded itinerary. Just stale air and the hum of neon from the minibar fridge. She could have stayed in. Cried. Gotten drunk. Texted her sister something cryptic like, guess who got assassinated over Lufthansa beef stroganoff. But instead, she changed into her backup dress, the crimson one that made her look like a problem HR couldn't solve, and went to the welcome mixer. It was wall-to-wall lanyards and hors d'oeuvres. Spectraverse logos gleamed from tote bags, name badges, and branded water bottles. She walked through the crowd like a ghost, her badge still listing her as Spectraverse keynote. No one stopped her, no one acknowledged her, but she heard them. So they're saying Chase's team is launching the new model without her. She got fired? Mid-flight? No way. Nah, I heard they're just restructuring. Dude, they took her off the email thread and added that intern. You don't restructure into unpaid labor. Lisa drifted by the bar, pretending to scroll through her phone, every word slicing her like a paper cut. Spotted Nina and Brent from Product Ops huddled with a glass of wine, each and the same kind of fake, casual body language people use when they know the funeral's not over, but they're already talking inheritance. She was tough, Nina was saying. But like, you knew the numbers were real. Brent nodded. Chase is all pitch, no build. She built. Lisa turned away. Her wine arrived. It tasted like betrayal aged in a barrel of spreadsheet lies. She could feel the algorithm of her career rewriting in real time. But she wasn't out yet. Her name was still on the keynote slot. She still had the badge. She still had eyes. And tonight, she was going to listen. Every hallway whisper, every nervous chuckle, every misstep by the team that thought they'd erased her. They didn't just fire her, they freed her. And no one's more dangerous than the woman you thought you buried mid-flight, only to find her sipping Merlot by the ice sculpture, already writing your eulogy in her head. Lisa? The voice cut through the white noise of clinking glasses and industry buzzwords like a scalpel through silk. Polished, familiar, dangerous. Lisa turned, expecting another Spectraverse drone cautiously orbiting her fallout, but instead she found Eva Lerman. Black blazer, blood-red lipstick, and that kind of bone-deep confidence you only earn from winning 100 boardroom knife fights and losing just enough to stay sharp. Chief Strategy Officer at Stratus Sync, Spectraverse's oldest rival and biggest thorn. They'd been trying to poach Lisa since 2018. She turned them down every time. Loyalty, pride, unfinished projects, take your pick. But now, as Eva sipped her espresso martini with the grace of a mob lawyer waiting for confession, Lisa felt a shift in the air. The kind of shift that makes hurricanes change direction. I figured I'd find you here, Eva said, voice low. Conspiratorial. No booth, no entourage, no chase. But a keynote slot? Something tells me things at Spectraverse are spicy. Lisa smirked. Spectraverse is many things. Flavorful isn't one of them. Eva's laugh was quiet but genuine. She motioned toward the far exit. Walk with me, Lisa followed. Past the networking zones and name-tagged sharks into the private access corridor behind the main ballroom. Industrial lights. Concrete floor. Silent except for the hum of refrigeration pipes and the click of Eva's heels. I won't insult you with questions you won't answer, Eva said. But let's just say, it doesn't take a genius to read between the LinkedIn updates. You weren't just fired, you were erased. And from the looks of it, they did it fast and dirty. Lisa said nothing. Her silence was its own language now. Eva unlocked a door with a conference badge. Inside was a sweet, plush, stocked, and eerily quiet, kind of room reserved for VIPs and silent deals. A fresh wardrobe hung on a rolling rack. High-end blazers, power dresses, even shoes in Lisa's size. I always come prepared, Eva said, watching Lisa's reaction carefully. Just in case someone I respect has a sudden change of circumstance. Lisa raised an eyebrow. Always travel with emergency couture? Eva shrugged. You wouldn't believe how often good people get screwed by stupid men with cheap ideas. Lisa exhaled. I didn't plan this. I know I'm still the keynote. For now. Lisa looked at the wardrobe, at the mirror, at the opportunity. She hadn't wanted this. Not like this. Not with adrenaline still laced through her bloodstream and the taste of betrayal still metallic on her tongue. But here it was. A fully furnished escape pod. A rival company offering a stage, a suit, and a new nameplate before her old one even hit the digital shredder. Eva wasn't just doing this out of kindness. She was playing chess. Lisa was a bishop, maybe a queen, still on the board. And this was check. I don't need a job, Lisa said, more to herself than anyone. Good, Eva replied. This isn't about jobs, it's about narratives. Right now, they're writing yours for you. Ex-exec, burnout, collateral. But if you walk out tomorrow in our colors, give that keynote under our banner, suddenly you're not fired. You're flipped. Lisa swallowed. The idea thudded in her chest like an uninvited guest kicking down a door. She thought of her team, the ones who stayed quiet, the interns who avoided her eyes, the execs who pressed send from comfortable offices while she was still above the Atlantic. Then she looked at the rack of armor, because that's what it was. Silk-wrapped vengeance. You've got until 7 a.m., Eva said, sipping her drink again. After that, your name stays theirs, or becomes yours again. Somewhere else, your call. Lisa stood alone in the suite for long while after Eva left. Her mind ricocheted between silence and static, loyalty or liberation, disgrace or resurrection. Either way, the stage was still hers. But the story, that was up for grabs. By 2 a.m., Lisa's old biography had vanished from the conference site like it never existed. Eva's team moved with sniper precision, no leaks, no trail, no room for second thoughts. New entry was lean and lethal. Lisa Harrington, Executive Advisor, Stratus Sync Global, no mention of Spectraverse. No title inflation. Just her name, her new banner, and her keynote slot, still locked in for 9 o'clock a.m., Hall A. Lisa stared at it on the tablet Eva left for her, one perfectly manicured brow arched in disbelief. The printer in the suite buzzed. Out came her new badge, blue, silver, and clean. Stratus Sync lanyard, new QR code, different bar, same woman, new weapon. She ran her fingers along the edge of the badge like it was a blade. For a moment, the magnitude of it all pressed against her chest. In 24 hours, she'd gone from pride to purgatory to power. But this wasn't resurrection, not yet. Resurrection was too soft, too spiritual. This was possession. Lisa had clawed her own ghost back from the machine. Now she was going to haunt the bastards who thought they could kill her mid-flight. The presentation remote sat where she'd left it, next to a backup USB. Her slides were still intact, her old case study, her charts, her data. She opened the file, stared at the title slide, Disruption with Integrity. What a joke. She deleted the title, typed a new one. How to burn a house without leaving smoke. Then she got to work. For 4 hours straight, she rewrote her entire presentation from the bones up. The core story stayed, it had to, or people would sniff the switch, but the framing, the context, it shifted like a tectonic plate under a fragile city. Gone were the polite buzzwords and corporate backpats. In their place, data-laced daggers. She wove the story of a project gone right, her project, juxtaposed against a case study she anonymized so lightly. Anyone in the room from Spectraverse would know exactly who she meant. 2 innovation pipelines, one guided by research, integrity, and user-centric feedback. The other, rushed by ego, starved of data, gutted by turnover. The first, Lisa's. The second, Chase Drayton's mess. She even embedded a time-lapse graph of cost overruns, color-coded to match the company's internal performance deck. Only a dozen people would recognize it, but those dozen would choke. Every transition was a scalpel. Every animation a twist of the blade. She didn't name names, didn't have to. She just whispered the story and let the audience connect the dots and the wounds. At 6:45 a.m., she saved the file, transferred it to the encrypted conference app, backed it up 3 different ways: USB, cloud, and burner drive. This wasn't just a speech anymore. It was a reconstruction, forensic autopsy of everything Spectraverse had buried under a press release. She showered, put on the suit Eva picked, sharp black, high collar, matte buttons, power without pretense. No jewelry, just the new badge clipped clean over her left lapel, right above her heartbeat. When she stepped into the morning fog outside the suite, the city was still asleep. But Lisa was awake. And she wasn't walking into hall to represent a company anymore. She was walking in to reclaim her narrative, to salt the earth where they tried to bury her. Lisa drifted through day 1 of the conference like a ghost in heels, half visible, wholly dangerous. Stratus Sync's logo gleamed from her new lanyard, drawing just enough attention to spark curiosity, but not alarm. Most assumed she was consulting, maybe speaking on a side panel. After all, Lisa Harrington was supposed to be in a corporate grave by now, sidelined, replaced, buried in a soft press statement about strategic transitions. But she was very much alive and hunting. She moved from breakout sessions to coffee queues with a practiced grace, every conversation a needle threaded carefully through half-truths and smiles. She didn't ask questions, she let the silence fill the gaps. People always talk when they think you already know. The intel trickled in. Apparently, her ex-boss Chase hadn't shown up yet. Word was, sent a junior strategist, Taylor something, as a fresh voice in innovation. A kid with a marketing degree, 2 years of real-world experience, and a LinkedIn profile that read like it was generated by ChatGPT in a rush. Worse, Taylor wasn't even credentialed to speak. No clearance, no formal slot, no Keynote slot swap. Just a vague announcement buried in a panel description. Emerging voices in product design. Featuring Taylor M. Spectraverse? Lisa nearly laughed in the hallway. This was their plan. They didn't just fire her, they lit their own credibility on fire and handed the extinguisher to an intern. Later that afternoon, she watched from a corner of the lounge as Taylor paced in a too-tight suit, flipping through note cards and asking the AV tech if he could borrow a clicker. Sweat bloomed visibly through his collar. His badge was peeling at the corner. Judging by the panicked call he made while clutching a Red Bull like a rosary, he had no idea Lisa was even in Berlin. Oh my God, he hissed into the phone. No one told me she was still on the schedule. Her name's on the banners. What do I say if someone asks? What if she shows up? Lisa didn't flinch. She just took another sip of espresso and smiled into her cup. She'd already edited the deck twice. But now she had fuel. Data slides buried in her keynote included anonymized, but absolutely unmistakable, metrics tied to Project Juno, the flagship initiative she'd built from dirt. The same one Spectraverse fast-tracked after ousting her. The same one that now had delays, spiraling costs, and performance numbers lower than a basement crawlspace. She anonymized the charts just enough to feign professionalism. But the color scheme, the font style, the axis labels, all lifted from Spectraverse's internal reporting templates. Anyone who'd ever worked with them would see it. Anyone watching from the industry would feel it. Anyone still employed there would sweat through their shirt before slide 5. By dusk, Lisa had everything in place. The USB was loaded. The conference app was updated. Her speaker access was greenlit. And the organizers, blissfully unaware of the corporate knife fight unfolding in real time, confirmed her AV tech rehearsal for 7:15 a.m. sharp. She didn't respond, just nodded. Let them be surprised. After all, this wasn't just a keynote anymore. It was a live autopsy, on a stage, with 4,000 witnesses, and one terrified junior replacement sitting front row, waiting to see if the corpse on the table would twitch. Lisa planned to make it scream. The ballroom buzzed with the kind of nervous energy you only get when two tectonic plates of bullshit are about to collide. At 8:58 a.m., every velvet-draped chair in hall was filled. Laptops glowed. Phones hovered over record buttons. Event staff zipped up and down the aisles, whispering into earpieces like a political summit was about to break out. And in the wings stood Lisa. Calm. Still. I see in a black blazer with a collar so sharp it could have sliced through a PR memo. Her new badge, Stratus Sync, executive advisor, clipped just high enough to catch the stage lights. One of the conference organizers, a visibly sweating man named Derek, with the posture of a folding chair, nervously tapped her elbow. So, there's been some confusion, he said, voice breaking like a nervous 8th grader. Spectraverse said your slot might be reassigned. We never received official documentation. And your materials are still in the system, and your name is still everywhere. Lisa turned to him slowly. Then what's the issue? No issue, Derek said immediately. None at all. Just wanted to confirm you're still presenting. I am. And you're now with Stratus Sync? She gave him a long look that said, if you ask me to explain why, I will unmake you in front of this audience. Derek coughed. Got it. We'll update the intro. Lights dimmed. The stage music, some synthy Euro corporate beat designed to make agile workflows sound sexy, faded into silence. The host took the stage. Our next speaker is a returning favorite, she said, smiling as if nothing backstage was melting. She spent 2 decades redefining product integrity and disruptive design strategies, and she's here this year as executive advisor with Stratus Sync. Please welcome Lisa Harrington. The room froze. For half a second, no one clapped. Then a ripple, scattered applause. Nervous, curious. But in the front row, her old colleagues, frozen. Chase wasn't there, still probably hiding in a hotel bathtub texting the board about optics. But Brent, Nina, and 2 other Spectraverse managers sat in stunned silence, lanyards clutched like rosary beads. Lisa walked onstage like gravity didn't apply to her. Host handed her the clicker with the same look you'd give a bomb technician. Then she stepped back. Lights up. Lisa turned toward the audience, scanning it like a hawk in a suit. Her voice, when it came, was low and steady, razor-wrapped velvet. Let's talk, she said, pausing just long enough to let the tension stretch thin, about what not to do with innovation. You could hear someone exhale too loudly in the 3rd row. A water bottle dropped with a hollow thud. I want to start with a story, Lisa continued, walking slowly across the stage. About 2 identical projects. Same budget, same user base, same market need. One led with transparency and data, the other with ego and assumption. Slide 1 clicked behind her, a chart, clean, minimal, deadly. The first one succeeded, slide 2. A nearly identical chart except the failure line dropped off a cliff. Familiar font, familiar branding, familiar color palette. Second, well, that's what happens when you fire your lead midair. The audience didn't laugh, they froze. Every Spectraverse employee in the crowd looked like they'd just been pantsed on live television. Lisa let the silence hang like smoke, then she smiled. This is not a revenge speech, she said. This is a cautionary tale. And just like that, the room was hers. Not Spectraverse's, not Stratus Sync's, not even the conference's, hers. Lisa didn't raise her voice once. She didn't have to. Every word out of her mouth was dipped in truth and twisted just enough to make the crowd lean forward, unsure if they were watching a keynote or a corporate eulogy in real time. She moved through the presentation like a surgeon, not one performing a rescue, but an autopsy. No names, no logos, just cold, unflinching comparisons. Slide after slide dissected decision-making patterns that anyone familiar with Spectraverse could clock from a mile away. the gutting of R&D timelines in favor of rushed go-to-market rollouts, the replacement of senior engineers with outsourced cost savers, the infamous initiative where user feedback was swapped for predictive sentiment model that predicted absolutely nothing except their public embarrassment 6 weeks later. "Let's talk about accountability theater," she said, gesturing to a bullet point list. "Cross-functional transparency meetings with no data shared. Fail-fast cultures used to excuse lazy product vetting. KPIs retrofitted to match outcomes after the fact." The audience let out a collective, quiet damn. Some gasped. Others smirked. One guy in the back muttered, "Holy hell," loud enough for his mic'd colleague to shush him on stream. By the time she reached the midway point, when innovation becomes theater, dozen tweets were already going viral. Screens lit up. At CodeVixen, Lisa Harrington is setting fire to an NDA with every sentence, and I am living. At Ucksteady44, who TF signed off on firing her? I want names. This is a TED talk crossed with corporate arson. At BP Mageddon, pretty sure I just watched a keynote and a murder trial at the same time. From the rear of the ballroom, a Spectraverse PR rep stood near the exit, whispering furiously into an earpiece. Another executive paced along the back wall, arms folded, face ghost pale. And just to the left of the tech booth, Chase Drayton himself, late, flustered, and clearly stunned to see Lisa alive, dressed, and armed. He pulled out his phone and began texting like he was defusing a bomb, unaware the explosion had already gone off 20 minutes ago, and the room was just watching the dust settle. Lisa paused before the final section. "Let me close with a comparison," she said, tone shifting to something softer, more surgical. Slide, Project Atlas launched Q2. Lead, Senior PM, budget $1.8 M, time to market 7 months. Outcome exceeded KPIs by 140%. Next slide. Project Juno launched Q3. Lead, Junior Strategist, budget $3.2 M, time to market 4 months, rushed. Outcome, post-launch rollback, at loss $2.4 M. Lisa turned to the audience. 2 teams, same tools, same goals. One respected the process. One rushed the optics. She looked up at the crowd. I led the first. Then she clicked once more. Both project graphs filled the screen side by side, one a smooth arc of growth, the other a jagged cliff of loss. "I'll let you decide which company deserves your trust," she said, letting the silence flood back in. Mic still clipped, clicker in hand. Heartbeat steady. She stepped back, nodded once, and left the stage to thunderous, confused, scandalized applause. Half standing ovation, half stunned paralysis. It was done. But outside that hall, the implosion was just beginning. The hallway outside Hall was chaos, soft-shoed, camera-lensed, credential-dangling chaos. Lisa didn't rush. She walked like a verdict, the kind that had already been read aloud and printed in the morning paper. Flashes caught her jawline. Phones rose like periscopes. She didn't stop for the questions. She didn't need to. The speech was the statement. Everything else was noise, but one voice cut through it. "Lisa," she turned slowly. The crowd parted like breath around a blade. There he was, Grant Ellison, CEO of Spectraverse. Blue suit, tired eyes, tie too tight. He looked like a man who'd spent the last 40 minutes watching his company's stock price twitch and bleed in real time. "I'd like a word," he said through his teeth, trying to sound calm. But his tone had the edge of a man shouting in a fire while pretending to give a TED talk on leadership. Lisa raised an eyebrow. "You mean in private, or in front of the New York Tech Herald, Digital Pulse, and oh look, Wired's here too?" A dozen press badges turned toward him like vultures sniffing meat. Grant froze, blinked, then cleared his throat. "Your actions today were reckless. We could pursue legal, by all means," Lisa said coolly, already turning. "You'll be suing me for using anonymized, publicly accessible performance metrics. Go ahead, discovery will be fascinating." He reached for words. None came. What did come was a swarm. Cameras, mics. "Miss Harrington, do you believe Spectraverse knowingly misled investors? Were you silenced? Is Stratus Sync planning to file an ethics complaint?" Grant backed away. The flashbulbs hunted him now, not her. Lisa didn't flinch. She kept walking. Back inside the lounge, Nina from Product Ops waited by the espresso machine, badge removed, eyes hollow. "Hey," she said quietly, "I'm done, just so you know. Sent my resignation an hour ago. You were right." Lisa nodded, so was the data. By noon, she'd heard from 5 others. Engineers, designers, even 2 account managers. Defecting, whispering, jumping ship like rats who realized the iceberg was above them now, not below. It wasn't just employees. Clients approached too, quietly, eagerly. One even handed Eva a handwritten note during a panel with the words, "We're ready when you are." Back in the suite, Lisa finally peeled off the blazer and sat down. No champagne, no victory selfie, just silence, a clean kind. The kind you only get when the fight is done and the blood's already dried on the floor. She didn't just survive the ambush, she hijacked it. They fired her in the sky. She answered on stage. And now the board was flipped, the game rewritten, and Lisa Harrington wasn't playing pieces anymore. She was the goddamn rulebook. She leaned back in the chair, cracked her neck once, and smiled without teeth. Not joy, not smugness. Vindication. Cold, clean, and earned. You're the real stars of the corporate jungle. Thanks for watching. Hit subscribe, or I'll flick the switch on your old cubicle memories.